The alarm screamed through the Valari colony ship like a dying animal. Tillith's delicate fingers trembled over the control panel as red warnings flashed across every screen. The engine core was failing. Life support was dropping. Oxygen levels were falling fast. "Send the distress signal," she whispered to her crew. Her voice shook with fear. "Send it to everyone. Anyone who can hear us." The Valari were a peaceful species. They came from a gentle world where the sun always shined soft and warm. Their planet had no storms, no earthquakes, no dangerous animals. For thousands of years, they had lived in perfect harmony. War was something they read about in ancient texts. Violence was a concept they barely understood. Now their ship was dying in the darkness of space, and Tillith knew they had maybe 2 days before the cold killed them all. The distress signal shot out into the void. It carried a simple message in the universal language that all civilized species used. "We are dying. Please help. We are peaceful. We mean no harm. Please, anyone, help us." 300 light-years away in a different part of space, Captain Hyun sat in his chair on the bridge of the Indomitable Spirit. He was reading reports from the day's exploration work when Gina suddenly stood up from her station. "Captain," she said. Her voice was tight. "I'm picking up a distress call." Hyun looked up. "Origin? Unknown species? They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Sir, they sound desperate." Gina pressed some buttons and the message played through the bridge speakers. The voice was high and musical, translated by the ship's computer into words they could understand. As Hyun listened, his jaw tightened. The alien ship was dying. "They had maybe 48 hours. How far?" he asked. 18 hours at maximum speed, said Yuna from the pilot station. She was already calculating the course. Taeyang, the chief engineer, leaned forward. "Captain, 18 hours at max speed will burn through our safety reserves. We'll be running on fumes by the time we get back." "Noted," Hyun said. He opened a channel to Earth Command. It took several minutes for the message to reach them and for a response to come back. When it did, the voice was cautious. "Captain Hyun, Earth Command advises extreme caution. This would be first contact with an unknown species. The Galactic Concordance has protocols. We are not yet full members. We should wait for—" Hyun cut the transmission. He looked at his crew. They had been together for 3 years, exploring the dark spaces between stars. They were far from home, far from anyone who could tell them what to do. "They'll be dead before any concordance ship reaches them," he said quietly. "We're the only ones close enough." Nari, his security officer, nodded. "We didn't come out here to let people die, sir." Yuna set the course. "Taeyang, give me everything the engines can handle. Gina, send a response to that ship. Tell them help is coming." The Indomitable Spirit turned in space and its engines roared to life. The ship jumped forward, racing toward the dying aliens. On the gentle dawn, Tillith watched her screens with fading hope. 3 concordance vessels had responded to her distress call, but all of them said the same thing. They were too far away. They would try to reach the Valari ship, but it would take 5 days, maybe 6. "We don't have 6 days," whispered Nesrin, the cultural officer. She was Tillith's closest friend. "We barely have 2. Then a new message arrived. It was in the universal language, but the accent was strange. The words were simple and direct. "Gentle Dawn, this is the human vessel Indomitable Spirit. We received your distress call. We are 18 hours away. Hold on. We're coming." Tillith blinked. Human? What is a human? She searched the databases. There was very little information. Earth was listed as a restricted planet, Category 12. A death world. The Concordance had been observing it, but had never made official contact. The notes said the species was too aggressive, too dangerous, too unpredictable. They evolved as predators. Nesrin read from the screen. Her eyes went wide. Their planet has extreme gravity, violent weather, dangerous animals, and natural disasters. The Concordance considers them a high-risk species. But they're coming to help us, Tillith said. She didn't know if she should feel hope or fear. The hours crawled by. The gentle dawn grew colder. The Valari crew huddled together for warmth, their fragile bodies shivering. Tillith kept watching the clock. 17 hours, 16 hours, 15. On the Indomitable Spirit, the crew worked without rest. Do-hyun, the medical officer, studied everything he could find about Valari biology. They were light, delicate creatures who needed very specific conditions to survive. Their world had weak gravity. Their air was rich in oxygen. Their bodies could not handle stress or pain the way humans could. They're like glass, he muttered. We'll need to be extremely careful. Yuna pushed the ship faster. The engines screamed, but she knew exactly how far she could push them. She had been flying since she was 16. She knew every sound the ship made, every vibration, every warning sign. Taeyang monitored the power levels. We're burning hot, Captain. But we'll make it. Hyun stood on the bridge watching the stars. He thought about the terrified aliens waiting in the dark. He thought about the Concordants and their protocols and their caution. He thought about the fact that humanity had been kept isolated, watched from a distance, judged as too dangerous to join the galactic community. Maybe they were right to be cautious. Humans came from a brutal world. Earth had tried to kill them with ice ages and volcanoes and plagues and predators. Humanity had survived by becoming tough, adaptable, and relentless. But that same harsh world had also taught them something else. It had taught them to help each other, to work together, to never give up. 14 hours, Gina announced. Hyun opened a channel to the Valari ship. Gentle Dawn, this is Captain Hyun. Stay strong. We're almost there. In the cold darkness of her dying ship, Tillith heard those words and started to cry. They were tears of hope. The indomitable spirit dropped out of faster-than-light travel right next to the crippled Valari vessel. Through the view screen, the alien ship looked like a crystal flower floating in the dark. It was beautiful but clearly damaged. Parts of it were dark. Others flickered with dying lights, ion storms in the area, Yuna reported. She gripped the controls tightly. This is going to be rough. Space around them was angry. Waves of charged particles crashed against their shields. Any normal ship would have retreated to a safe distance. But Yuna was not a normal pilot, and humans did not retreat when people needed help. She brought the ship in close, dancing through the storms like she was born to it. On the Gentle Dawn, the Valari crew watched in shock as the human ship moved through conditions that should have torn it apart. Docking in 2 minutes, Yuna said calmly. Hyun stood up. Nari Dohyun, you're with me. Taeyang, assess their engine damage from here. Gina, keep the channel open. The three of them moved to the airlock and put on their EVA suits. The suits were bulky and armored, designed to protect humans in the harshest environments. They looked like military gear, because in a way they were. Earth had taught humanity that space was a battlefield, and you wore armor to a battle. The airlock opened and they crossed into the Valari ship. The first thing Hyun noticed was the cold. The temperature had dropped to nearly freezing. The second thing he noticed was the gravity. It was incredibly weak, maybe 1/3 of Earth normal. He had to adjust his movements to avoid bouncing off the ceiling. The third thing he noticed was the Valari crew staring at him with absolute terror. Tillith had come to meet them. She was tall and thin, with skin that shimmered like pearls. Her eyes were huge and dark. She looked at Hyun and his team, and her whole body started shaking. To her, the humans looked like monsters. They were broad and heavy and powerful. Their suits made them look even bigger. They moved with a confidence that seemed aggressive, even though they were trying to be careful. Please, she whispered. Please don't hurt us, Hyun stopped. He slowly removed his helmet and Tillith saw his face. He had kind eyes. He smiled at her gently. We're here to help, he said. His voice was deep but soft. My name is Hyun, I'm the captain. This is Nari and Dohyun. We're going to get you out of this. Dohyun stepped forward carefully. I'm a doctor. Can you show me who's injured? Tillith led them through the ship. The corridors were narrow and beautiful, decorated with flowing designs that looked like art. But everything was dying. The lights were dim. The air was thin. The Valari crew sat in groups wrapped in blankets, shivering. When they saw the humans, some of them gasped. Others hid. They had never seen anything like these creatures. Dohyun knelt beside a Valari who was barely conscious. The alien was so light that Dohyun could have lifted him with one hand. He scanned the Valari with his medical equipment and frowned. Severe hypothermia and oxygen deprivation, he said. But I can stabilize him. He worked quickly, his large hands surprisingly gentle. He gave the Valari medicine and wrapped him in a thermal blanket from his pack. The Valari's eyes fluttered open. He saw Dohyun's face and tried to pull away, but Dohyun held him steady. Easy, Dohyun said. You're safe now. Just rest. Nari was doing a sweep of the ship with her security equipment. She moved from room to room, checking for threats. The Valari watched her nervously. She looked like a warrior, and they had no warriors in their culture. They didn't understand what she was. In the engine room, Taeyang's voice came through their communicators. "Captain, I've analyzed the damage. The engine core is cracked. It's leaking radiation." Hyun looked at Tillith.
Can you show me the engine room?
She led him there, and Hyun understood immediately why the Valari couldn't fix it themselves. The room was flooded with radiation. His suit's sensors were screaming warnings. Tillith stood at the doorway, unable to enter. "The radiation would kill her in seconds. We can't go in there," she said quietly. "We tried to send repair drones, but they all failed. We've been waiting to die." Taeyang's voice crackled over the comm. "I can fix it, Captain. But someone needs to go into the core." "Negative," Hyun said. "The radiation levels are too high." "For them, yes," Taeyang replied. "Not for us. I'll need 40 minutes inside." "My suit can handle it," Tillith stared at Hyun. "He'll die. No one can survive that radiation." Hyun looked at her calmly. "He'll be fine. We've trained for this." 10 minutes later, Taeyang crossed from the indomitable spirit wearing a heavy radiation suit. He walked into the engine core like he was going for a casual walk. He started working, his hands steady, occasionally humming to himself. The Valari watched in disbelief. The radiation that would kill them in seconds was merely inconvenient to this human. He worked in it the way they might work in a garden. Tillith turned to Hyun. "What are you? How is this possible?" Hyun considered his words carefully. "Our world is harsh. We evolved to survive conditions that would kill most species. High gravity, extreme temperatures, radiation, toxins, our bodies are built to endure." "You're from a death world," Nesrin whispered. She had been watching from behind Tillith. "Category 12. We've never met anyone from a Category 12 world before. Is that bad?" Hyun asked. "We don't know," Tillith admitted. "The Concordance has always kept death world species away from the rest of us. They say you're too dangerous, too violent." Nari's voice cut in. "Captain, you need to see this." She had found something in one of the cargo bays. A small device attached to the engine systems. It wasn't Valari technology. "This is a sabotage unit," Nari said. She held it up. "Someone deliberately damaged your engine. And this," she pointed to another device, "is a tracking beacon. Whoever did this is watching you." Tillith felt her blood go cold. "Pirates?" "Most likely," Nari said. She looked at Hyun. "They're probably waiting for the ship to be completely helpless before they move in to take the cargo." "Not anymore," Hyun said. He opened a channel to Yuna. "Pilot, start scanning for other ships. Someone's watching us." In the engine core, Taeyang finished his repairs. He emerged from the radiation chamber and pulled off his helmet. He was sweating but grinning. "That should hold until we get you to a proper station," he said to Tillith. She looked at him like he was a miracle, or a monster. She wasn't sure which. The engines came back online. Heat started flowing through the ship. The lights grew brighter. The Valari crew began to cry with relief, but Hyun wasn't celebrating yet. His instincts told him something was wrong. Nari had found evidence of sabotage. Someone had deliberately crippled this ship, and that someone was still out there watching. "Gina," he said quietly into his comm, "send a message to the Gentle Dawn's crew. Tell them to prepare for possible combat. We might have company soon." Tillith heard this and her eyes went wide. "Combat? We don't have weapons. We don't know how to fight." Hyun looked at her steadily. "You don't need to. That's what we're here for." Outside in the darkness of space, a ship uncloaked. It was large and ugly, covered in weapons. Inside it, a creature named Kryvek smiled with too many teeth. "So," he hissed, "the Valari found some help. Let's see how helpful these strangers really are." Yuna saw the pirate ship on her sensors before it fully uncloaked. Her fingers danced over the controls, bringing the indomitable spirit shields to full power. "Captain, we have a hostile vessel," she said. Her voice was calm, but her heart was racing. "It's big. Really big." On the bridge, Gina received an incoming transmission. She looked at Hyun and shook her head. "Sir, they're hailing us. Should I put them through?" "Do it," Hyun said. He stood in the center of the bridge, his arms crossed. The view screen flickered to life. The creature on the other end was reptilian, with scales that shifted between green and black. His eyes were yellow and cruel. This was Kryvek, the leader of the Razorwing Collective, and he was smiling. "Unknown vessel," Kryvek said. His voice was smooth like oil. "You have wandered into an unfortunate situation. The Valari ship and its cargo belong to me. I suggest you leave now while you still can." Hyun studied the pirate captain for a moment. Then he smiled. It was not a friendly smile. This is Captain Hyun of the human vessel Indomitable Spirit. The Valari are under our protection. You're the one who should leave. Kryvex laughed. It was a harsh barking sound. Human? I've never heard of your species. You have a small ship and you're alone. I have a battle cruiser and a crew of 40 warriors. Be smart, little captain. Run away. Last warning, Hyun said quietly. Leave now or we'll make you leave. Kryvex's smile vanished. Kill them. The transmission cut off. The pirate ship's weapons powered up and bright lances of energy shot toward the Indomitable Spirit. Evasive. Hyun barked. Yuna's hands moved like lightning. The human ship twisted and rolled, avoiding the energy blasts by centimeters. The G-forces would have crushed most species, but humans had evolved under Earth's heavy gravity. They could take it. The Indomitable Spirit dove under the pirate cruiser and Nari fired the ship's weapons, but instead of energy beams, the human ship launched solid projectiles. Kinetic weapons. Metal slugs fired at incredible speed. The pirate shields were designed to deflect energy weapons. They had never been tested against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The projectiles tore through the shields like paper and punched holes in the cruiser's hull. On the pirate ship, alarms screamed. Kryvex stared at his damage reports in disbelief. What kind of primitive weapons are those? He shouted. Return fire. Destroy them! But Yuna was too good. She flew the Indomitable Spirit like it was part of her body. She spun and weaved, always moving, never where the pirates expected her to be. They're trying to flank us, she said. 2 fighter craft breaking off from the main ship. I see them, Nari said. Her weapon systems tracked the fighters. Engaging, more kinetic rounds shot out. 1 fighter exploded instantly. The other tried to dodge, but a human computer had calculated its trajectory. The second fighter became a cloud of debris. On the gentle dawn, Tillith and her crew watched the battle in stunned silence. They had never seen anything like it. The humans fought with a precision and brutality that terrified them. Kryvex was getting desperate. He opened a channel to his boarding teams. Prepare to board the Valari ship. If we can't destroy the humans, we'll take hostages. A smaller craft detached from the pirate cruiser and shot toward the gentle dawn. It latched onto the hull and began cutting through. Nari saw it immediately. Captain, they're boarding the Valari vessel. Taeyang, take a team and stop them, Hyun ordered. Taeyang was still on the gentle dawn, finishing the engine repairs. When he heard the order, he grabbed a toolkit and headed toward the breach point. 3 other human crew members joined him. The pirates cut through the hull and poured into the Valari ship. There were 8 of them, different species, all armed with energy weapons. They expected to find terrified, helpless aliens. Instead, they found Taeyang standing in the corridor, holding a large wrench. You're in my way, Taeyang said calmly. The lead pirate, a large insectoid creature, laughed. 1 mechanic with a tool? This will be easy. He raised his weapon. Taeyang threw the wrench. It spun through the air and hit the pirate in the face with a loud crack. The pirate went down hard. The other pirates stared. Taeyang picked up another tool from his belt, a plasma cutter, and smiled. Who's next? What happened in the next 3 minutes would become legendary among the pirate networks. 4 humans, armed with nothing but maintenance tools, fought 8 armed pirates and won. They moved with a speed and violence that shocked the attackers. They used the low gravity to their advantage, bouncing off walls, attacking from unexpected angles. Taeyang fought like the corridor was his workshop, and the pirates were just another problem to fix. When one pirate grabbed him, Taeyang simply lifted the alien off the ground and threw him into 2 others. The Valari watched in amazement. These humans were so strong. When the fight was over, all 8 pirates were unconscious or fleeing back to their ship. Taeyang had a small cut on his arm. He looked at it and shrugged. I'll need a bandage later, he said to Do-hyun over the comm. On the bridge of the Indomitable Spirit, Hyun watched the pirate cruiser. It was damaged now, leaking air and fuel, but it was still dangerous. They're powering up their main weapon, Gina warned. It's a plasma cannon. If that hits us, our shields won't hold. Yuna's eyes narrowed. Captain, I can get us inside their firing arc. But it's risky. Do it, Hyun said. The Indomitable Spirit accelerated directly toward the pirate cruiser. Every instinct in warfare said this was suicide. You didn't charge a ship that was bigger and more heavily armed than you, but humans didn't follow the normal rules. Yuna flew straight at the cruiser. Then at the last second, she rolled the ship and brought them alongside the enemy vessel. They were so close now that the pirates' big weapons couldn't target them. Nari, target their engine core, Hyun said. Locked, Nari confirmed. Fire. The kinetic rounds punched into the pirate ship's engines. Explosions rippled through the cruiser. The ship went dark, dead in space. Kryvek stared at his dead controls. His ship was crippled. Half his crew was dead or injured, and he had been beaten by one small vessel crewed by a species he had never heard of. What are you? He whispered. Hyun's face appeared on his screen. We're humans. We're from Earth, and we don't like bullies. This isn't over, Kryvek snarled. The Razorwing Collective will remember this. We'll hunt you across the galaxy. Good luck with that, Hyun said. Then he cut the transmission. He opened a channel to the Valari ship. Tilith, are you all right? Tilith's voice was shaky. Yes, your people. They saved us. Again. Can your ship travel now? Yes, Taeyang fixed the engines. They're not perfect, but they'll get us to the nearest station. Then let's go home, Hyun said. The two ships, one human and one Valari, turned away from the crippled pirate cruiser and headed for concordant space. Behind them, Kryvex watched them go. He was beaten, but he was still alive, and he would make sure that every pirate, smuggler, and criminal in the galaxy knew about the humans. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they were more dangerous than anyone had imagined. On the gentle dawn, Tilith sat in her command chair and thought about what she had just witnessed. The humans had fought with such efficiency, such violence, but they had also been gentle with her people. They had risked their lives to save strangers. She didn't know what to think. Were the humans heroes or monsters? Maybe they were both. Maybe that was what it meant to come from a death world. One thing was certain. The galaxy was about to change. The journey to Concordant Station Etheria would take 4 days. The gentle dawn traveled beside the indomitable spirit, and for the first time in their history, the Valari spent time with Deathworlders. Tilith was nervous when she first crossed over to the human ship. The airlock opened, and she stepped into a world that felt wrong to her. The gravity was heavy. The air was thick. Everything was built solid and strong, designed to withstand forces that would destroy Valari construction. But Hyun met her with a smile and offered her a drink of water. The simple kindness helped her relax. Welcome aboard, he said. I know it must feel strange here. Our ship is built for Earth gravity. I apologize if it's uncomfortable. It's fine, Tilith lied. Every step felt like she was carrying extra weight. But she was determined to understand these humans. Do-hyun had set up a small medical bay to continue treating the injured Valari. Tilith found him there, carefully examining a young Valari named Kyle, who had suffered from severe cold exposure. He'll be fine, Do-hyun said. Another day of rest and warmth and he'll be back to normal. He helped Kyle sit up and offered him some soup. Tilith watched how gentle Do-hyun was. His hands were large and strong enough to crush a Valari skull, but he touched Kale like he was handling something precious. Can I ask you something? Tilith said. Of course, Do-hyun replied. Your medical equipment scanned me earlier. You know about our biology now. You know how fragile we are compared to you. Doesn't that make you see us as weak? Do-hyun looked at her with kind eyes. Different doesn't mean weak. Your bodies are adapted for your world, just like ours are adapted for Earth. You've built a civilization based on peace and cooperation. That's not weak. That's admirable. But you could destroy us so easily, Tilith whispered. Your whole species could. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Yes, we could. But why would we? Humans learned a long time ago that strength without compassion makes you a monster. Our world tried to kill us, so we know what it feels like to be helpless. We know what it means to need help. Tilith felt tears in her eyes. She had been so afraid of these Deathworlders. But maybe she had been wrong. On the bridge, Gina was teaching Nezrin about human culture. The Valari cultural officer was fascinated by everything. She asked questions about Earth, about human history, about art and music and philosophy. I don't understand, Nezrin said. Your world is so violent. You have wars and disasters and suffering. How do you create beauty from that? Gina smiled. Maybe beauty means more when you have to fight for it. We have a saying on Earth. The flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long. We live shorter lives than many species. We face more danger, so we treasure the good moments more. She played music for Nezrin, human music from different cultures and different eras. Some of it was sad, some was joyful, some was angry. All of it was passionate. Nesrin listened with tears streaming down her face. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "It hurts, but it's beautiful." "That's humanity," Gina said softly. In the engine room, Taiyang was showing a Valari engineer named Prill how he had fixed their engine. Prill was amazed by the humans' casual approach to problems that seemed impossible. "You just went into the radiation?" Prill said. "Without fear," Taiyang shrugged. "I was wearing protection. And even if I got a dose of radiation, Do-hyun has medicine for that. It's not pleasant, but it won't kill me. On our world, even a small amount of radiation is fatal," Prill said quietly. "We can't survive the things you consider minor inconveniences." "Then it's good we found each other," Taiyang said. "You need people who can work in dangerous conditions. We need people who can teach us about cooperation and peace. Everyone has something to offer." That evening, Hyun sat in his quarters reading a classified message from Earth Command. The words made him frown. The message explained that the Galactic Concordance had been watching humanity for decades. They had known about Earth since humans first sent radio signals into space. They had studied human history, human wars, human violence, and they had been afraid. Earth was Category 12 on the Concordance danger scale. Only 2 other known planets were that hostile. Most intelligent species evolved on Category 3 or 4 worlds. Safe worlds, gentle worlds. The Concordance had debated for years whether to make contact with humanity. Some council members argued that humans would be too aggressive, too dangerous. They might start wars. They might conquer other species. So they had watched and waited. And now, because of one rescue mission, humanity's secret was out. The galaxy knew about the Deathworlders from Earth. The message ended with a warning. The Concordance Council was divided. Some members wanted to welcome humanity. Others wanted to quarantine Earth. The rescue of the Valari had forced their hand. Soon there would be a vote. Hyun deleted the message and went to the bridge. He found Tillith there talking quietly with Gina. When she saw him, she stood up. "Captain," she said, "I need to tell you something. The Concordance Council has contacted me. They want me to testify about what happened, about you and your crew." "I know," Hyun said. "What will you tell them?" Tillith looked at him for a long moment. "I will tell them the truth. That you saved us when no one else would. That you fought for us. That you were gentle with us even though you could have hurt us. That you are the bravest people I have ever met." "The council is afraid of us," Hyun said. "They think we're too violent. Too dangerous." "Maybe you are dangerous," Tillith said. "But dangerous doesn't mean evil. A fire is dangerous, but it also gives warmth and light. You are like fire, Captain Hyun. You burn bright and hot. You can destroy, but you can also save." Hyun smiled sadly. "I hope the council sees it that way." 3 days later, a new distress signal came through. Gina's hands shook as she read it. "Captain, there's a research station in the Theta 9 system. They're in trouble. A solar flare damaged their shields. The radiation is killing them." "How far?" Hyun asked. 6 hours. "But Captain, the radiation levels in that system are extreme. The Concordance rescue fleet says it's too dangerous. They're requesting time to develop special shielding." "How much time?" 12 hours. "The research station doesn't have 12 hours, Hyun said. He looked at his crew. They looked back at him steadily. They knew what he was going to say. "Yuna, set a course for Theta 9. Taeyang, reinforce our shields. Do-hyun, prepare for radiation casualties." Tillith stood up. "Captain, you can't. The Concordance said it's suicide." Hyun looked at her. "They said rescuing you was too dangerous too. We did it anyway. But why?" Tillith asked. "Why do you keep risking your lives for strangers?" Hyun thought about Earth. He thought about humanity's long, brutal history. He thought about every time his species had faced extinction and survived. He thought about the fact that humans had learned to help each other because no one else would help them. "Because someone has to," he said simply, "and we can." The indomitable spirit turned toward the Theta 9 system. Tillith sent a message to the Concordance Council. She told them what the humans were doing. She told them that these Deathworlders were about to attempt a rescue that the Concordance itself had called impossible. And then she asked a question that would echo through the galaxy. "If these are the monsters you're afraid of, what does that make us?" Concordance Station Etheria was the largest structure Hyun had ever seen. It hung in space like a small moon, home to millions of beings from hundreds of different species. Ships of every shape and size moved around it like insects around a flower. When the indomitable spirit requested docking permission, there was a long silence. Then the station's traffic controller, a nervous Quellen named Vex, responded. Human vessel, please stand by. We're not sure where to put you. We've never had a Category 12 species dock here before. We'll park anywhere that's convenient, Hyun said patiently. We don't bite. Some species heard that transmission and immediately requested to change docking bays to be farther away from the humans. Others moved closer, curious to see the Deathworlders, who had rescued the Valari and saved the Theta 9 research station. The rescue at Theta 9 had been broadcast across the entire concordance. Billions of beings had watched as the human ship flew into a radiation storm that should have killed everyone aboard. They watched as Yuna navigated through solar flares and magnetic chaos with impossible precision. They watched as the crew evacuated 42 researchers from 8 different species, all while radiation levels climbed to lethal ranges. The Concordance's own rescue fleet arrived 3 hours later, after the humans had already saved everyone. The fleet commander, a proud Saurian named Kethrix, had been forced to admit that what the humans did was impossible, and yet they had done it. Now the indomitable spirit docked at Etheria, and Hyun led his crew into the station. The corridors were huge and beautiful, filled with beings of every type. Many stopped to stare at the humans, some looked afraid. Humans were tall and broad, built for heavy gravity. They moved with a confidence that looked aggressive to species who had never known predators. Their eyes faced forward like hunters. Their teeth included canines designed for tearing meat, but some looked curious. Some looked grateful. The rescued researchers from Theta 9 were there, waiting to thank their saviors personally. Tillith met Hyun at the docking bay. She had arrived 2 days earlier on the gentle dawn. She looked different now, more confident. Being rescued by Deathworlders had changed her. The council wants to see you, she said. They're ready to vote on whether to accept humanity into the Concordance. I thought they already decided we were too dangerous, Hyun said. That was before Theta 9, before I testified, before half the galaxy watched you risk your lives to save strangers. Tillith smiled. Come on, let's go make history. The Concordance Council chamber was a massive circular room with seats for representatives from 200 species. When Hyun and his crew entered, every eye turned to watch them. The room went silent. The council leader, an ancient being named Elder Moth, whose species had been traveling the stars for 10,000 years, looked down at the humans. His expression was unreadable. Captain Hyun of Earth, Elder Moth said. His voice was like wind through trees. You have caused quite a disruption in our peaceful galaxy. That wasn't our intention, Hyun said. We only wanted to help. Help, Elder Moth repeated. Yes. You helped the Valarii. You helped the researchers at Theta 9. You defeated the Razorwing pirates, all things that the Concordance itself struggled to do, and you did them with 1 small ship and 6 crew members. We did what needed to be done, Hyun said. A council member from the Threxian delegation stood up. He was tall and thin, with skin like polished stone. Captain, humanity comes from a death world. Your species evolved through violence and competition. How can we trust that you won't bring that violence here? Hyun looked at the council member steadily. You're right. We evolved through violence. Earth tried to kill us in every way possible. Ice ages, volcanoes, earthquakes, predators, diseases. We survived all of it. That's exactly why we're concerned, the Threxian said. Let me finish, Hyun said quietly. There was something in his voice that made everyone listen. Earth taught us to be strong, but it also taught us something else. It taught us that we're stronger together. No human survives alone. We lived because we helped each other. We shared food. We protected each other. We built communities. He paused and looked around the chamber. You see us as dangerous. Maybe we are. But we're dangerous to the right things. We're dangerous to pirates who prey on the helpless. We're dangerous to disasters that kill the innocent. We're dangerous to cruelty and injustice. Do-hyun stepped forward. I'm a doctor. On Earth I took an oath. First, do no harm. Every human in the medical field takes that oath. We have the knowledge to hurt people, but we choose to heal instead. That's what humanity is. We have the capacity for violence, but we choose compassion. Nari spoke next. I'm a security officer. I'm trained to fight, but I only fight to protect. There's a difference between a warrior and a murderer. Warriors defend. We defend, Gina added her voice. We create art and music. We write poetry. We build gardens. We're not just survivors. We're dreamers too. Elder Moth listened to all of this. Then he turned to Tilith. Navigator Tilith, you have spent more time with these humans than anyone. What is your assessment? Tilith stood up. Her voice was clear and strong. When my ship was dying, the Concordants told me they would try to reach us, but the humans didn't try. They succeeded. When pirates attacked, the Concordants would have sent a battle fleet. The humans needed only one ship. When Theta 9 needed rescue, the Concordants said it was impossible. The humans said it was necessary. She looked directly at the Council. I was afraid of them at first, but I learned something. The humans are not monsters. They are what the galaxy needs. They are the ones who answer when others say it's too dangerous. They are the ones who help when others say it's too hard. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some council members argued for accepting humanity. Others argued for caution. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Elder Moth called for silence. We will vote, he said. All in favor of extending diplomatic recognition to Earth and allowing humanity to join the Concordance? The vote was close. But in the end, it passed. Elder Moth looked at Hyun. Humanity is accepted. But understand this, Captain. You are not being invited as equals. You are being invited as specialists. The Concordance has needs that only Deathworlders can fill. Rescue missions in hostile environments, defense against pirates and aggressors, exploration of dangerous regions. We accept, Hyun said. There's more, Elder Moth continued. We have hundreds of requests already. Species across the galaxy have heard about you. They need help with things that are too dangerous for normal crews. Are you prepared for that? Hyun looked at his crew. Yuna smiled. Taeyang nodded. Nari cracked her knuckles. Doyun checked his medical bag. Gina gave him a thumbs up. We're prepared, Hyun said. The next day, the indomitable spirit prepared to leave Etheria, but before they departed, Gina checked her messages. There were hundreds of them. Thousands. Requests for help from across the galaxy. A mining colony trapped in a collapsing cave system. A passenger ship stranded in a gravity well. A research team studying a dangerous volcano. An agricultural world facing a catastrophic storm. Things that the Concordance considered too risky. Things that required Deathworlders. Captain? Gina said. You need to see this. Hyun looked at the messages and smiled. Set a course for the mining colony. They sent their request first. As the indomitable spirit undocked from Etheria, Tilith watched from the observation deck. Nezran stood beside her. Do you think they'll be all right? Nezran asked. They're going to face so much danger. Tilith thought about everything she had learned. She thought about Taeyang walking into radiation. She thought about Yuna flying through impossible conditions. She thought about Dohyun's gentle hands and Nari's fierce protection and Gina's warm smile and Hyun's steady leadership. They're human, Tilith said. Danger is what they do best, and they'll save so many lives. Far away on Earth, the news was spreading. Humanity had been accepted into the galactic community. The stars were open to them now. In homes and cities across the planet, people looked up at the night sky and wondered what was out there. They wondered what adventures waited. They wondered who needed help. And thousands of young humans decided that they wanted to be like Captain Hyun and his crew. They wanted to explore. They wanted to help. They wanted to show the galaxy what humanity could do. The age of humans in space had begun. On the indomitable Spirit, Hyun sat in his captain's chair and looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, people were in trouble. People needed help. And the Deathworlders were coming. He opened a channel to the mining colony. This is Captain Hyun of the human vessel Indomitable Spirit. We received your distress call. Hold on. We're coming. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations. They were tired. They had been through battles and radiation and danger. But they were smiling, because this was what they were meant to do. This was what Earth had prepared them for. They were humanity. They were survivors. They were helpers. They were dreamers. And the galaxy would never be the same.